Hello everyone, this is Praveen. So in this AWS demo, we'll see how to create a load balancer and how to associate a couple of EC2 instances around it. Okay, so this is a very common scenario which is being used in some of the sites like Flipkart.com, eBay.com and so on. Okay, so let's say you click on a particular URL or you open up a browser and then type a particular URL. Okay, so the request will be redirected to one of the web server. Okay. So let's say as our site gets more and more popular, the response will become very slow. That's when we decide to add a couple of more web servers. Okay. Now, when a user clicks on a particular URL, the request should be sent to one of these web server. Okay. So how will that happen automatically? Okay. So that's the reason why we have something called a load balancer. So when we click on a particular URL, the request will be sent to the load balancer, and the load balancer will send the request to the different web servers. Okay. So in the case of the Amazon Web Services or the AWS Cloud, it is called Elastic Load Balancer, okay, or short for ELB. So the ELB, what it will do is it will take the request from the end user and then it will spray the request to the different web servers in a round robin fashion. So first request, second request, third request, fourth, fifth, and so on. Okay, so it will do it in a round robin fashion. So today what we'll do is like we'll create a web server, right? Like two web servers, and then we'll create a Elastic Load Balancer, and then on the web server we'll create a simple web page. Okay, and then we'll say that the load balancer will send the request in a round robin fashion across the two web servers. Okay, so that's what we'll see today. Okay, so here I'm going with the assumption that like you already have an account with Amazon Web Services, or if you don't have, you can simply go to aws.amazon.com and then simply create an account. So for this, you need to provide a credit card details. Okay, and once you create an account, you have the access to this. Okay, so this is called AWS Web Console, where you can do the different cloud operations. Okay, so let's go to the EC2 Web Console. Okay, so the first step is to create a security group. So in the case of Amazon, a server is called EC2. So whenever we create a server, there's a firewall around it. Okay, so no one will be able to connect to the EC2 server because there's a firewall. So what we need to do is we need to make some changes to the firewall and open up some ports. So we'll be opening up port 22 and port 80. Okay, so port 22 will allow us to connect it to the server using SSH. Okay, and the port 80 will allow us to make website calls, okay, HTML or HTTP. Okay, so we'll open up these two ports by making some changes in the firewall. So the firewall in the case of Amazon is called security group. Okay, so come down, click on the security group. So here we will create a new security group. So I'll name the group as SSH and HTTP because we are opening up ports for SSH and HTTP. And here we need to specify what are all the ports we want to open. Port SSH, and here I specify that anyone can connect to it. Okay, so I'll add another rule, HTTP anywhere, right? That's it. Okay, so in the firewall we are making two changes. So we'll say create. Okay, so this has created a simple firewall or a security group, and we are simply opening port 22 and port 80. Okay, so here we can see that we have opened up port 22 and 80. Okay, so let's look at the next step. The next step is to launch two Linux servers. Okay, so let's do that. Click on instances, launch instance. Okay, so here we need to select whether we want to start a Linux or a Windows. In the case of Linux, Red Hat or CentOS. Right here, I'm picking up the Amazon Linux. Okay, so in this particular screen, we can select the size of the instance, whether we want to start a small one or a medium or a large. Right. So here I'm picking up the T2 Micro, which is a small server, but the good thing about this is it is free. Okay, so next we can configure the details. So here I want to launch two of them, so I specify two. Right. So the rest of the options are good for default. Okay. And in this particular screen, we can specify the size of the hard disk for that particular Linux server. And here we can add some tags. Okay. Basically, it's about categorizing the different servers. Okay. We can add the tags later on, which we will do. Okay. And then here we are specifying the security group. Okay. So already we created a security group where we are opening up port 22 and port 80. I'm associating these two instances, Linux instances, with the security group. Okay. So here we can do a review and launch. Okay. So in this particular screen, we need to review. So here I have selected a T2 Micro, and the security group is SSH and HTTP, and then the number of okay, this, yeah, what else? Okay, so here we can see the instance details. So here I have requested for two servers. Okay, what else? Yeah, and if I go to the storage, so we have requested a server of 8 GB disk. Okay. So now let's launch these two servers. Okay, so it will take a minute or two. So initially when we start a server in Amazon, it will be in a pending state, right? It's in a yellow color, it's still booting up. So in a minute or two, it will be ready. Then we should be able to connect to these two instances. The screen doesn't refresh automatically, we need to. Yeah? Here if you see, so one of the server is up and running and the second server is still in pending. Okay. Now the servers are up and running. Now we should be able to connect to them and then do different operations. Okay, let's name the servers. So the first one I will name is as web server 1, and the second one is web server 2. Okay, so now let's connect to the web server 1. So here I'm using a tool called PuTTY. Okay, by using the PuTTY we can connect to the server. And so we need to specify what is the user which we are connecting at, followed by the IP address of the machine or the server. So since we are connecting to the machine for the first time, it is prompting with a warning. So I will simply say yes and connect to the machine. Okay, so I have connected to the first machine. Similarly, let's connect to the second machine. So this is the IP address of the second machine. Okay, so let's open another PuTTY session. Okay, and then the username followed by the IP address. Okay, now we are connected to the second machine also. Okay, now what we can do is like we can install the web server and then we can create a simple web page. Okay, so on these two servers, right? So to install the like web server, like we need to be as a admin. Okay, so let's upgrade ourselves as a admin. Okay, so this is the command to upgrade ourselves as a admin, sudo su. Okay. So if you see currently, like we are logged in as a root user called EC2 user, right? To upgrade as a root, so we have to say sudo su. Let's do that on both the machines. Okay, now if you see, I have become a root. Okay, So let's do it on the second machine again. Okay. On the second machine also we have become the root. Now normally, right, like when we create a Linux machine on Amazon, it is a bit outdated. All the latest patches have not been applied. Let's apply the latest patches on the Linux. The command is yum update. So let's do it on both the machines. So here if you see there are a couple of patches. Okay, so here it is asking whether we want to upgrade or not. So we'll simply say yes. Okay, so let's update the Linux on the second machine also. Okay, yes. Okay. So the next step is to install the web server. The web server in the case of the CentOS based system, right? It's called HDPD. So let's install it. So when we run this command, it will automatically download the web server from the internet and then install it for us. Okay, so let's do it on the second machine also. Okay, so here we have installed the web server. The next step is to start it. Okay, so this is the command to start the web server. Again, as usual, we have to repeat this on both the steps, both the servers. Now I'm starting the web server on the second server. Okay, it's done. So the next step is to create a simple web page. Okay, so we won't be building a very complicated web page as in Flipkart, eBay, and the different e-commerce sites, but we'll be creating a simple index.html in the where www html folder. Okay, so this is the folder where the index.html or any other web pages should go to. So first I'll cd to that particular folder and then create a file called index.html. So in this I'll simply say I am web server 1. Okay, and save the file. Similarly, I will go to the second one and then create another index.html. So in this I will say I am web server 2. Okay, as I said, like we are creating very simple web pages, not too complicated ones. Okay, now okay, so let's see whether the web pages are coming or not. Okay, so how do I, we have to get the IP address of the web servers and then type it in the browser. So this is the IP address of the web server 1. Okay, so it says I am web server 1. This is a simple web page which we have opened in a browser. So now let's look at the web server 2. One second. Okay, for some reason it's not coming on the web server 2. Let's check it out. Okay, the reason why is like we have created a index.html in the home folder. The index.html has to be created in the where www folder. Okay? So let's move this index.html there. Okay, so we created the index.html in the wrong folder, so I'm moving it to the where www.html folder. Okay, now the web page should come. Okay, it simply says I'm web server 2. Okay, so till now what we have done is we have created two web servers, web server 1 and web server 2, and then we have created index.html on both of them. Okay, and then we have to access the web servers using the IP address. Okay, now let's try to create the load balancer. So we'll go to the EC2 console, click on the load balancers, create a load balancer. Okay, there are two types of load balancer, the application load balancer and the classic load balancer. Okay, so we'll be using the classic load balancer. So if you want to know more about it, click on the learn more. You'll get more details about the difference between these two. Okay. So continue. Okay, so here we need to give the load balancer a name. Okay, my ELB. Okay. And what else? Let's see the nodes. Yeah. Okay, click on assign security groups. Okay, so here we have created a security group called SSH and HTTP. So we'll associate the security group with the load balancer. So here, how will the load balancer know whether the web server is up and running? So the load balancer will continuously check by default for the index.html, okay, on these two web servers. So if the index.html is not there, then it will assume that this particular web server is down, and then it won't be sending any request to this particular web server. So this is called health check. So we can configure the health checks here. So how often it will check for the index.html, and then like, what is the threshold, okay, what is the response timeout, and so on. Okay, so here the interval, right, it's 30 seconds. So it will check every 30 seconds to figure out whether the web server is up and running or down. Okay, so I'll make it less, otherwise we have to wait for 30 seconds. Okay, so let me make it 5 seconds. Okay, for some reason, like, okay, the screen went back. Let me create it again. Okay, so I'll say my ELB. Next, assign the security group. Okay, so here we have to select the security group which we created earlier. So this is the screen where we are configuring the health checks. Okay, so as I said, I'll make the interval small. Okay, now, okay, it will check for the index.html every 5 seconds. Okay, it will check 2 times, and then if it doesn't get any response, it will assume that it is unhealthy. Again, it will check for 2 times. If it gets the index.html, it will assume that the server is up and running. Okay, now in this particular screen, what we can do is we can associate the web servers with the load balancer. Otherwise, how will the load balancer know to which web servers it has to send the request? Okay, so here we are associating them. Okay, and then we can add tags. I will simply name it as my load balancer. Sorry, my load balancer. So now let's review and create the load balancer. Okay, so here we are creating a load balancer called my ELB. Okay, and here we are associating with two web servers, web server 1 and web server 2. Let's create it. Close. Okay. So here it says 0 of the 2 servers or 0 of the 2 instances in service. Okay, so the load balancer, right, so what it will do is it will check for the index.html 2 times. If it gets it, and then it will declare it as healthy. Okay, so it will take a couple of seconds, so let's wait for it to become healthy. Okay, so here I'm simply refreshing the screen. Okay, it still says 0 of 2. Okay, so let's wait for a couple of seconds. So meanwhile, right, so this is the URL for the Elastic Load Balancer. Okay, so here the user will be typing this URL for the load balancer, and the load balancer will send the request to one of the web server. Okay, so in the index.html here we have I am web server 1, and in the second one we have I am web server 2. So when I type the URL of the Elastic Load Balancer in the browser, once I will be getting I am web server 1, and then I will be getting I am web server 2. Okay, so it will be fluctuating between these two web pages. Okay, so let's check the status of the two servers. So one way is to refresh the entire page or click on this button. It's much faster actually. Okay, so it's still taking some time. Let's wait for a few minutes. Okay, so what we'll do later on is like we will stop one of the web server. Okay, so this will become unhealthy, and the load balancer will be sending the request to only the second web server. Okay, so we can try that also later on. Okay, now if you see, it says two of the instances or the servers in service. Okay, because the load balancer is connected to the web servers. Okay, so let's copy the URL of the load balancer and then open it in a new tab. Okay, so here I am opening up a new browser and then paste the URL of the load balancer. Okay, so once it says I am web server 1, second time also it says I am web server 1 because it is picking up from the browser cache. So if I do it again, now it says I am web server 2. If I refresh it, it says web server 1, web server 2, right? So if you see, it is fluctuating between the two web servers. Okay, so that's what the functionality of a load balancer is. Okay, now what we'll do is like we will shut down the web server on one of the instances. Okay, so let me connect to the first web server and then stop the web server. So earlier we had done a start of the web server. Now I will do a stop. Okay, now the load balancer, right? So it won't be able to check the index.html on the web server 1. Okay, so in a few minutes it will declare it as unhealthy. Okay, and then it will be sending the request only to the second web server. Okay, so every time we'll be getting I am web server 2 because that's the content of the index.html. So let's go to the load balancer and then see whether it says one of two instances in service. Right, I refresh the screen and now it says one of the two instances in service. Okay, so if I go back to the load balancer, it should say I am web server 2 all the time. Right, because the web server 1 is down. Okay, so the load balancers, right? So not only they can be used for addressing more traffic, but it can be also used whenever we want to have high availability. Okay, so initially we had two servers, so one of it can be treated as a primary and the second one can be treated as a backup. Okay, so we have seen that when the primary one goes down, all the requests have been sent to the backup. Okay, so that's another use case of using the load balancers. Okay, okay, so this is more or less about the load balancers and how to create them, how to configure them, so on. Okay, during the course, like we'll be looking at it in a bit more detail. Okay. So one thing to make sure is like once you are done with the AWS resources, so you have to make sure that you terminate them. Otherwise, AWS will think that you are using them continuously and then they will charge you. Okay, which you don't want. Okay, so here is how to delete them. So first we'll delete the load balancer. Okay, the load balancer is gone. Now let's delete the servers. Okay, go to instances, select all of them, click on actions, instance state terminate. Okay, it's giving a warning whether we want to terminate them or not. That's what we want to do. So we'll say yes, terminate. Okay. So now the servers are shutting down, and then finally it will go to the terminated state. It means that we are done with the servers, and then Amazon will be allocating them to someone else. Okay, it will also stop our billing. Okay. If you see it is still in a shutting down state, in a minute or two it will go to the terminated state. So the same thing like creating a load balancer, creating a EC2 server, and so on. So they can be done in different ways. This is here currently we are doing through the web browser. The same thing can be done programmatically using CloudFormation. Like same thing can be done using a Java API or a C# API. There are different ways of doing it. Amazon provides different interfaces, and this currently we are using the web interface. Okay, it is still shutting down. It will take a minute or two. So if you see the first server has been terminated. Yeah, the second one also has been terminated. Okay, so as part of this demo, right, like we have also created a security group. We don't need to delete the security group because Amazon doesn't charge anything for the security group. You can create as many security groups as you want, and there's no billing for the security groups. So thanks for attending the demo. Like we have seen how to create a load balancer and then associate with two web servers. Thanks a lot.